Hello everyone. I want to talk about an aspect of the Priestess Path that might make some people, most people probably, a little afraid, maybe a little intimidated, perhaps resistant to answering the call. Now, there's going to be those of us who are just going to jump right in and dive right in. I was one of those, and kind of naively didn't realize of initiations, and these can be traumas, hardships, things that we have to overcome in our life, like major losses, disease, ways that we are very much challenged in our character, in knowing ourselves and trusting ourselves and surrendering to the divine. So this is really different than what we are taught growing up about the hero's journey. The hero's journey is going out into the world, doing great things and coming back and bringing the resources back to the group. And this is about going inward for the resources. This is a descent into our soul, literally. So this is an important part of the divine feminine spiritual path, is to reframe a lot of maybe what's happened to us to make us grow and make us become the empowered, embodied people we are today. So it's like we didn't come to earth because we're already enlightened. We came to earth to learn, to evolve, to grow, and to see next generations. It doesn't have to be done on your own. Now, the descent is on your own, the inward journey, but you can share your experience along the path of initiation in community with other priestesses on the path. You might think energy magic has to do with crystals, oils, wands, grids, and it does, and I love all of those things. But this energy magic is a culmination of all different ways I've learned to work with energy, embodiment practices, somatic therapies, and when you think about it, energy is everything. And if you can learn to work with your own energy, work with staying embodied, and that would lead to empowerment, which would lead to personal sovereignty. So these tools eventually teach you to be an embodied divine feminine. And that's a path, right? It's a lifelong path. And we've learned as humans to become energetically defended. It's just what happens. We don't want to really be in our bodies. It can be very uncomfortable in this culture. So we've learned to check out. We've learned how to pick up lots of habits and addictions and ways of not being present. Is a way to work those muscles, those energetic muscles, and hopefully hold your own and hold your power out there in the world, because it's not easy once you get out in the chaos. But it's fun in circle. It's fun to help each other with this. This is a new paradigm of us learning that it's okay. We don't have to be afraid to be in our power and to own our power. I talk to you about one of my favorite parts of the Priestess Path, which is working with ritual and ceremony. So we can use our intentions and thoughts and prayers, but there's something just really magical about creating a ceremony to honor something where we are using all of the senses, colors, props, sounds, our words, of course, and intentions, movements. So we do this to honor life. Essentially, everything goes back to honoring life, the stages of life, the cycles of death, rebirth, and regeneration. So we work with the lunar cycles, the solar cycles. We honor the High Holy Days in the Celtic Wheel of the Year, if that's part of your tradition. And also want to say a bit about the Women's Blood Mysteries, which we are seeing a revival in honoring the stages of life for women, such as menarche, for young women coming into their sexual power, their creative power. Of course, mothers giving birth and the whole process of pregnancy, childbirth, and nurturing the infant. And we give a lot of attention to the new baby, but what about the new mother? And what about those of us mothering other lineages besides children and honoring those rites of passage and intense power, coming into our power? And then of course there's menopause, and many women are choosing to have croning ceremonies or queening ceremonies if you want to embrace that archetype of the sovereign queen as you come into your wise woman years around age 50. I want to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about, and that is internal social justice work. I also call it sacred activism sometimes, depending on how I'm using that term, but internal social justice work is really how I think about taking a look at our internalized patriarchy. This is deep shadow work that we cannot get out of at this time. It's essential for our survival to take a look at how we have destroyed each other, destroyed cultures, species, destroying the planet. So if we can take a look at the ways we are complicit in the way things are being run and the way things are going in our culture, we can be more conscious about shifting the collective consciousness. I believe we are creating a new collective consciousness. And so the unconscious, what we have not wanted to see, because it's painful to see sometimes the way we have maybe harmed others, harmed ourselves in a lot of cases, particularly with divine feminine women, is we have given our power away. We have sacrificed ourselves, or we've become dominant, like a patriarchal figure in amongst others. So kind of acting like in the same way. So these are ways we take a look at ourselves. Giving our power away is a biggie in this culture. We call it codependency in the mental health field, but I like to think of it as just really having been programmed by the patriarchy to not be as powerful as we actually are, because it hasn't been safe to be as powerful as we. I'd like to talk to you about divine feminine leadership, because this style of leadership is part of our core values here at the Tree of Life, and part of what we believe will be essential for future generations, for us to switch over from a patriarchal style of leadership, which historically has involved colonizing indigenous groups, colonizing those who were less powerful, maybe had less resources, so that cultures could gain more wealth, gain more resources. So a divine feminine model of leadership would be very different. It would be collaborative with everyone, since there is enough abundance for everyone to have enough and more. So divine feminine leadership would involve collaboration, which it sounds maybe easier than it is, because we're so programmed to think in terms of what's best for us. It's just hardwired into us. So to switch that around, we are taking a look at our shadow work, which I will talk about in another video. our internalized patriarchy, ways that we give our power away to the powers that be, or just to anyone who seems like they are in charge or seems like they know more or what they're doing. So collaborative leadership is one big factor, and also thinking about future generations, because currently our leadership style is very short-sighted. So if we go back to the Native American philosophy that we think about 7 generations ahead, to me that is a part of divine feminine leadership as well. If you have found this video, you may be called to the Priestess Path. And I would like to talk about why it's non-negotiable to not be answering this call right now at this very important time in humanity. We are on the precipice of big transformational change, and the Priestess Path, the divine feminine path, goes back to pre-patriarchy, pre-organized religion, and it goes back to the values of honoring the earth, which sustains us with life, literally gives us life. It also honors the feminine, which creates life as well. And the alchemical marriage of the divine feminine and divine masculine has been out of balance for so long. We have almost become extinct in terms of those of us who have been forced underground to practice our witchy ways, if you will, or what's been really marginalized as woo-woo, not important, when I'm here to tell you that it is our embodied divine wisdom as priestesses that are going to lead us out of this chaos that we're in. So I would like to invite you to ask questions, reach out if this appeals to you. It's about leading with love from the heart. It's about thinking about the future generations. It goes back to our indigenous roots. So if you are curious about this path, I hope you will reach out. We are building a community here at the Tree of Life Temple. So please join us if this calls to you, and blessed be.